Alrighty, welcome back everybody to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully you're all having a great Tuesday so far. Let's see, we have in the chat today, we have Caleb, Brian, Lucy, as well as, let's see, Steven, DeAndre, Misty, Sam, Tornadic Rebel, Carson, and Aaron, Ben, and everyone else who is in the chat who I may have forgotten to welcome. Or if you're just now tuning in, glad to have you in here. And like I said, hopefully you're all having a great Tuesday so far. Let's go ahead and switch on over to our main scene. Oop, almost forgot to turn on the camera. That's kind of an important thing, huh? All right, looks like everything's good to go. Good morning, even though it's 3:32 in the afternoon here on the East Coast. Good morning. So we're going to be talking about the potential for a tropical storm to form in the far northeastern Gulf, and then eventually head out towards most likely near New Orleans, Louisiana. If not, then maybe south central Louisiana is where it's going to be heading towards. Currently causing some flash flooding impacts across the kind of central portion of the peninsula of Florida. And it has been upped a little bit. It's been upped to a medium chance, 40% chance of a tropical depression or storm forming out in this area. I'm a little surprised that it's not a bit higher. There is some uncertainties on, how fast this may be able to intensify, if it's able to intensify much at all. But in my opinion, I think we are nearly guaranteed to see a tropical depression on the coastline of Louisiana going towards Wednesday, very late Wednesday into maybe Thursday morning. And then I do think that this could push a tropical storm maybe just before landfall or right at landfall. I think it has a last second chance to become a tropical storm. But I'm really anticipating this to become a tropical depression. That's very obvious if you look at the recent satellite imagery. Looking at the satellite imagery, we do have an exposed low pressure here that is over the northern peninsula of Florida. We have a very large area of strong thunderstorms and flash flooding to the south of that associated with 93L at the moment. And this is going to be pushing quite quickly off to the west. It's Tuesday, and we're expecting this to be almost off the coastline of Louisiana tomorrow night. So it's not going to be that slow of a moving storm. At the moment, everything is really going as anticipated with the system. It is it's a little bit to the north, but with the high pressure, it will push it back into the Gulf, and then eventually that high pressure will bring it back up into Louisiana. So the most likely track of this thing, if I go ahead and draw it, I'll draw it with pink. So right now the low is generalized right here. It's currently moving west. Trough will hit it. It will move south. Trough will continue to hit it and bring it back up north. So most likely, that's kind of the most likely case scenario for this. There's another scenario where it goes further south and then comes back up. And then there's the least likely case scenario where it just kind of hugs the coastline and never becomes anything to worry about other than some light to moderate rainfall. But currently, it is forecasted to likely become near a tropical depression, and it most likely will succeed at becoming a tropical depression. The reason I say that is actually I'm still shocked this is at 40/40. Really, in my opinion, should be a lot higher. But the excessive rainfall outlook, they have upgraded this to a level 3 out of 4. So we have the potential for some catastrophic impacts in the wake of flash flooding here in central and southeastern Louisiana, maybe even pushing into southern Mississippi as this goes to the west. And this is the outlook for, so this is today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This is the outlook for Friday. So this is actually, why is that? That seems like a whole day off. I'm not going to lie. Nope, seems like that is correct. So, if that's the case, you know what the WPC is forecasting? They're forecasting a lot slower of a storm where this takes that southern trajectory I was talking about. So it's currently located like generally northeast of Gainesville. So in this case, they're kind of forecasting it to go more like this. That's what they're forecasting. They're forecasting it to get well into the Northeast Gulf and then back up into southern Louisiana. So that's really what they are forecasting at the moment. It seems like I'm fairly confident this is going to become a tropical depression. One quick look at ensembles and you'll know exactly why. Taking a look at the most accurate ensembles we have, which is the European ensembles. Zooming this in. This is weathernerds.org. And zooming in a little bit more for you, every last one of these has it becoming a tropical depression. So there's, according to the Euro probabilities on another site that I won't mention has a 100% chance of a tropical depression forming off the coastline of Louisiana sometime, probably Thursday morning at this point. Looks like it's a little bit slower than forecasted. But you can see this is the same trajectory. So it's right here. You know, it's right in the middle of all these ensembles. So nothing has changed here. And it should take this kind of trajectory like that. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it's going to take these far northern trajectories up here. I think those are all outliers. But most of these have it taking a little bit southerly trajectory, and some even have it being way too far south. So I don't agree with this down here. I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think any of this stuff's going to happen up here. So, in my opinion, the most likely case scenario is right in the dead middle, right in there. That's what I think is going to happen, and probably a tropical depression. You know, there's a chance it pushes tropical storm status at the last second, and I mean the very last second as it hits southeastern Louisiana. But in my opinion, I think it's going to become a tropical depression, probably either very late tomorrow night or going into Thursday morning. And the worst of the impacts will definitely be across central and southeastern Louisiana. We should have gotten recon into this thing. I'm assuming they may have already finished. Last time I checked, it was scheduled for 1:30, which was 2 hours ago. So I guess it's possibly already done. I guess I missed that one. Let me check here. I'm going to go through a bit of ensembles real quick on my other monitor. Yeah, the GFS has not handled this well whatsoever. Typical GFS things. So, we might be able to look here at the super ensembles real quick. Let me see if the super ensembles are available for Invest or not. I forgot. It's been a long time. They're either only available for Tropical Storm Plus or possibly even... Okay, they are not available, it looks like, for Invest here. Let's see. Hold on. I have forgotten how to get to it. I'll figure it out eventually. Man, all this data is dead wrong. Yeah, I don't know what's up with this data. It has it taking a sharp northerly turn, like into Georgia. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. But that's what some of our ensembles actually have it doing that. I don't think that's going to be the case. Here on the Euro ensembles, only like two of those actually show it, but it looks like a few other model runs have that happening. But I doubt that's going to happen, in my opinion. Um, so we'll see. We will see. I'm trying to see the super ensembles here, y'all. It's been a very long time since I've tried to look at the super ensembles. First bit of the year is going to be rusty. Always rusty on the first bit of the hurricane season. So, yeah. Again, I don't think this will become a really anything more than a tropical depression. There is that last second opportunity for a tropical storm, but even that is really pushing it in terms of intensity. I've seen a few people, actually a lot more than you'd think, actually call for the potential of a hurricane out of this because of how it looks right now on satellite imagery. And it's not very impressive on satellite. Like, it's not anything insane. It is an exposed lower level closed circulation currently over Florida with a very lopsided southwest area of convection. So it's not like anything ridiculous. It's a good low pressure. So we have that, it's a closed organized low. The main thing that's going to help with is more accurate ensembles and model runs. So hopefully we can get recon into this thing tonight or tomorrow morning when it enters the Gulf, because that's going to be when it's the most crucial for recon to be in this system. But overall, main impacts from this will definitely end up being flash flooding. Today we have a slight risk for flash flooding across a good chunk of central Florida. So that's at a level 2 out of 4 for flash flooding, slight risk level 2 out of 4. Tomorrow we've got a very large marginal risk, as this is likely going to be well off the coastline of the U.S. Or maybe barely the outer bands hitting, maybe southern Alabama, western Florida. And then day 3, that's when it's going to be very close to, if not about to make landfall, which day 3 is going to be Thursday. So you're looking at landfall should be sometime on Thursday, I'd imagine. And then moving inland there on Friday, and that will be your highest impact day in terms of heavy rainfall and flash flooding impacts. There's no day 3 marginal or anything like that. So I don't think we'll have any tornado opportunities with this. I wouldn't rule out a spin up tornado eventually when this gets to land somewhere across the southern U.S. down in here, just because it's a tropical system. And when it hits land, it's going to bring convection on land like that. And of course, tropical systems have organized lows. So you could have some low end tornado ingredients. All right, let's go over to our main model runs now, which is quite the disagreement between our main model runs, at least according to the spaghetti charts here. But I want to mainly look at the main 3 models. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. We're going to go with 500 vorticity. That's probably going to be the best thing to do. All right, let's switch over to this scene. We are good to go over to this scene here. So this is our GFS model run provided by tropicaltidbits.com, and you can see our very large, according to this, very large area of spin. So right off the bat, the GFS is already struggling with the organized low. And you can see the more consolidated area of energy is focused right in this small corridor here, just between Florida and Louisiana. And then going on into tomorrow night, I mean, it has it hitting Louisiana tomorrow night at 7-8 o'clock Eastern time. It hits Louisiana. So the GFS, I feel like, could be an outlier. We're going to go ahead and check the Euro to see what the Euro model run has, to see if that is any different. So definitely a bit better with the organized low. You can see it does have a tightly organized low pressure hitting Florida today, which is actively occurring. I do want to quickly see if I can get that browser source back up. There you go. So let's go ahead and pull this on out even further. This is into tomorrow afternoon. And the Euro doesn't have it making landfall until Thursday night. So big difference there. Thursday night, the Euro brings it onshore here in kind of south central, maybe even southwestern Louisiana. So big difference between the Euro and the GFS. And then our last of the main three is the Canadian. And you can see the Canadian is definitely one of the more aggressive ones. And that slingshots it on land overnight, overnight tomorrow night into Thursday morning. So this would be landfall towards 2 a.m. So a lot of disagreement, a lot of disagreement between the models here in terms of where this is going to track and what the intensity will be. But it looks like most of them have this being probably a tropical depression, possibly barely even a tropical depression forming as this pushes up to the northwest. So just if you're along the coastline areas here of Florida all the way into southeastern Texas, you want to remain weather aware, mainly starting tomorrow morning, going all the way through Friday, the entire day of Friday. So we will see which way our model guidance trends here, but right now, not a lot of confidence between our main model runs here. So this does show, you know, why the NHC has it at 40% and they haven't brought it any higher up to like 70% or so. Because it just seems like there's too much of a spread here between our models. The Euro, which is one of the best tropical models there, is very uncertain on the exact strength of it. However, guarantees a tropical depression. The icon slash... Actually, we haven't looked at the icon. Let's look at the icon. Let's look at the icon here. See if that's still very aggressive. Okay, that is our most aggressive model. That is definitely our most aggressive model, but that probably is barely a tropical storm, if not still a tropical depression. That could be considered a... You know, it would depend on the exact wind speeds, but just based on a model run, that looks like it could be a tropical depression or a tropical storm. It's a little difficult to say exactly which one. What is that? Wind speeds of about 30 knots. So that's a very low-end tropical storm. Barely a tropical storm. So that's like, in my opinion, that's like our high-end worst-case scenario is a low-end tropical storm. I really think that's like the worst-case scenario with this system, which let's see. I mean, it looks like all the other models, it's just the low pressure goes a little bit further south, and that's it. So, like, every single model run agrees that it's going to be right in here. It's just some of them dodge southeastern Louisiana and then take it into southwest Louisiana, and then others just take it straight into southeastern Louisiana. So, like, the GFS just takes it right into southeastern Louisiana. The Euro takes it south of Louisiana, and then it hits southwestern Louisiana the day after, which is Thursday. And then the CMC takes it into southeastern Louisiana. So, I think flooding is going to be the biggest issue. We could have some localized gusty winds of, 30 to 40 miles per hour. Sustained winds, that's really impossible to tell exactly, but I'm sure sustained winds could be of 10 to 15 miles per hour at least. It depends on how organized it gets. If it gets to sustained winds of 35, then that's a tropical storm. So, like I said, that's probably like the worst case scenario is 35 mile-an-hour winds sustained. That's probably the worst case scenario with this Invest 93L at the moment. This is how it looks on regional radar out here. The best radar we have, which is in Jacksonville. And just want to load the loop if we can. Looks like that was actually down for a little bit. You can see it literally disappears and then reappears. So, yeah, your low pressure, you could see just on these last 3 frames, it's definitely up in this area. This is definitely where your low is, generally around this region, right? Pretty much over Palm Coast is where that low pressure is likely located at. So that is definitely pretty far north, but like I said, that high pressure is going to help pull it. It's going to help pull it to the south a bit, and it will get into the Gulf. The question is just how long will it be in the Gulf? Is it going to go straight to southeastern Louisiana, or is it going to do that kind of dodge thing that some model runs were saying? So that's the main question mark right there, is exactly where is it going to go from right here? Where is it going to go from here? Is it going to go right towards New Orleans? Right towards this way, right towards the coastline of southeastern Louisiana, or is it going to take that more southern trajectory? Which the NHC, they have that, the AOI all the way into just to the south central, maybe even pushing southwestern Louisiana there. So they definitely have that being at least a possibility. But for the moment, for the time being, the main issue is going to be flash flooding, very heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning, and the occasional wind gust of 20 miles per hour over the next, 4 to 6 hours here across central Florida until eventually the main convection gets into the Gulf by tonight. And then it should spend all day tomorrow into the Gulf, and tomorrow night it's going to make landfall, or Thursday night, one or the other, depending on what scenario. If it goes towards New Orleans, it will be tomorrow night for landfall. If it goes towards south of Lafayette, it will be Thursday night for landfall. Now, outside of the tropics, we've got quite the issue here in the mainland U.S. We've got a very large slight risk level 2 out of 5 for severe weather today, with a decent-sized level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk. This is mainly centered over Nebraska and southeastern South Dakota. There is the chance for a spin-up tornado or two. It's definitely not a good chance, but there is the opportunity for a brief weak spin-up tornado. There is also the chance for a brief weak spin-up tornado back up in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Damaging winds will be the driving factor for today. Could see a wind gust as high as 90 miles per hour in central Nebraska with an MCS that will form later on today, likely close to 6 o'clock Eastern time. And those isolated severe storms will continue throughout the rest of the day across this portion of our risk area. But our main event will be focused back out into Nebraska and southeastern South Dakota. Large hail also going to be an issue across much of the slight risk area. Could see some hailstones approach 2 to 2.5 inch in diameter, though the main risk is definitely damaging winds. Tomorrow, 2 slight risks have been introduced. We've got a slide out there in Wisconsin down through central Illinois, secondary slide back out in Wisconsin, or rather Wyoming down through Colorado. Tornado definitely can't be ruled out. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 5% tornado risk introduced to the northwest of Chicago. That really would not surprise me. We'll need to just keep an eye on the risk for tornadoes tomorrow around the Chicago metro pointing northwest. Also could see a tornado or two out there in Colorado into southeastern Wyoming. Damaging winds will be the primary issue, though, out in Wisconsin and Illinois, with hail being the driving factor for the slight risk tomorrow in Colorado and Wyoming. Day 3, very large marginal risk across much of the mid-Atlantic, or rather much of the northeastern U.S., and I think this will be pushed into more of the mid-Atlantic. It should, in my opinion, be extended all the way down towards North Carolina as well. We could probably have a very large marginal risk on this day, and it will likely eventually be upgraded to a slight risk for somebody out there in the northeast U.S. But in my opinion, I think that day 3 marginal probably should expand a little bit more to the west and a bit more to the south, kind of like that. And then we could see a slight risk back out here in Ohio, or possibly even a slight risk in Virginia, just off the Appalachians, depending on which way things trend over the next few days. And then day 4, there is no risk highlighted on day 4. Let me see if they mention anything about the chance for severe weather on day 4. Nope. They don't mention much of a focused area of severe weather potential. However, I do think we are going to be at risk for a significant MCS / derecho pattern going towards the end of July. Looks like a pretty good setup right now. We're keeping an eye on July 23rd to July 25th for the potential of a notable severe weather event across the northern plains into the Midwest and then eventually into the northeastern U.S. Model guidance varies substantially, but every single model run has a decent trough pushing through the central and northern U.S., specifically the northern U.S., and that creates the chance for an MCS or a potential derecho. So definitely going to be wanting to monitor this area up here towards the end of July. We're looking at mainly from maybe a bit more, definitely from July 23rd, but possibly all the way till like the 26th, 25th, 26th. So definitely wanting to watch the end of July. I think that could be a bit of a notable event depending on which way things trend. But every model run has a good trough entering the U.S. Just some have it being a lot more of a tornado maker, and then others have it being just a big time wind bag. So that's going to be the thing to keep an eye on. Starting July 23rd, lasting till about the 25th. Going to keep an eye on this entire area. 23rd in Montana, Wyoming. 24th in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota. 25th going into Ontario, Michigan, and then 26th maybe pushing into the far northeast U.S. Looks like we just got a severe watch. It'd be pretty weird if it's, I was going to say, it'd be pretty weird if it's just for Michigan like that when we have severe storms further west. So there's your new severe thunderstorm watch just issued across portions of Michigan back towards Wisconsin and Minnesota. Just make sure you're weather aware in that area. Very frequent lightning, heavy rain, isolated flash flooding, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, and 1.5 to 2 inch hail will all be possible with these storms. Eastern Iowa threat seems unlikely to me. Are you talking about today? Let's see. Or tomorrow. Oh, you must be talking about tomorrow. Yeah. Today is Western Iowa. Tomorrow's Eastern Iowa. Let me see. I disagree a little bit there. You got to watch these very closely. So this is exactly how we got our tornado outbreak. Oh man. June, was it like, crap, I forgot. It was like June, somewhere in the middle of June, we got a tornado outbreak in central Illinois. And this is a very similar setup to how that happened. I forgot exactly what day it was, but it was in the middle of June we had a setup similar to this. So let me walk you through some model runs here. June 18th might be correct. I'm just going to go look at it. That way I can get you the right date. Let's see. June 18th. Yep. That day sounded familiar. Yes. June 18th. So what we're going to see here, let me switch all over to this one. This should be a bit of a better scene. So today we're seeing these storms rapidly develop along a cold front extending from generally northeast Colorado back up towards west central Minnesota. This should be firing here in the next 30 minutes to an hour. Big hail, low wind tornado threat will be our initial threat from about 4:30 Eastern to 6:30 Eastern. And then after 6:30 Eastern, windbag mayhem across much of the central and eastern state of Nebraska. Could get some wind gusts approaching 90 miles per hour. And then I want you to pay attention to the northern side. I want you to pay attention to up in here as I push this into the overnight hour. So this is 11 o'clock tonight Eastern, midnight 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. And 6 a.m. tomorrow morning is when you really start to see what is taking shape. You've got a very well-organized MCV that turns into a well-organized low pressure across northwestern Iowa into tomorrow morning. And then watch how this traverses. This is about 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. This is about noon tomorrow. Noon tomorrow is when we should start to see a severe weather event start to kick off in eastern Iowa, southwest Wisconsin, northwestern Illinois. And a lot of the times, model runs don't do very well with the discrete to clustered convection we see on the tail end of an MCV. So I would be watching for a potentially notable tornado threat in eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, and northern Illinois going into tomorrow afternoon. You can see the HRRR doesn't develop anything until very late, like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, as this goes towards Lake Michigan. That's when it really starts to develop it. And I don't agree with that. I think we are going to see the chance for some discrete supercells with the possibility of a couple tornadoes, because you've got, you don't have the best lower level wind shear, but you have the vorticity from your low pressure. That allows for really good mid level and upper level wind shear. And then you have a lot of good instability. You have good moisture in the high 60s, low 70s. Temperatures definitely up there. That's into the low 90s, high 80s. So, elevated thunderstorms might be a bit of an issue. Cloud tops could be very high, thus, maybe decreasing tornado potential a little bit, because it would take a lot more wind shear to get a tornado to form from a high base cloud top as opposed to a low base cloud top. So, definitely going to keep an eye on that. I would definitely keep an eye on it. Let's see what the NAM3K has here. Yeah, so you see that the NAM3K does indeed form supercells here about 4 5 o'clock tomorrow, starting in East Iowa, and those track into from central Wisconsin all the way into northern Illinois. So NAM3K likely has a bit better of a handle on the potential for some discrete supercells with that MCV tomorrow, beginning just after 2 o'clock Eastern time. Also, a way more potent environment for tornadoes. Definitely more potent instability, better lower level wind shear, about the same mid-level wind shear as the HRRR, but much better environment there. So, little surprised, honestly, a little surprised we don't already have a 5% tornado risk. I think the reason for that is confidence in supercells firing, but these MCV events, they can really sneak up on you. So I'm watching this very, very carefully. You can see the 12Z HRRR did initiate supercells actually. So the 18Z doesn't, but the 12Z does. So the older model run initiates it a little bit better. It is a messier mode, but look at that. If you get one good discrete supercell planted in front of that MCV, I mean, as long as you got the lower level wind shear there, you could definitely end up seeing a tornado threat develop out of any of these supercells in here. Looks like the main threat is after, probably after 2 p.m. Eastern time. That looks to be when our main event begins. So we'll continue to watch it closely. That's definitely got my eye. Want to keep a good eye on that. I just got a new mesoscale discussion out in central Nebraska for the potential of damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour, a brief tornado or two, and large hail up to 2.5 inch in diameter. Thunderstorms are likely to form around 21Z, which is literally less than an hour from now. Initial large hail will be the main issue, followed by damaging winds. So, there you go. Mainly hail, spin-up tornado at first, and then damaging wind threat increases very rapidly, probably after about 6:30 Eastern time. All right, but that's the main takeaway there from your severe weather event. So today, big hail, isolated tornado threat for the next 3 hours starting now. And then damaging winds after 6:37, right around there, 6:30, I should say, Eastern time. Up to 80, 90 mile an hour winds will be possible. MCV from that remnant MCS tonight forms tomorrow morning. Promotes the chance for some cluster to discrete supercells with the chance of a couple tornadoes tomorrow. Honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I wouldn't rule out a strong tornado. If this MCV is this well organized and well defined, you could see how sharp and how tightly well bound this MCV is. If we get supercells to be planted on that MCV or barely in front of it, I would not rule out a strong tornado in southwestern or central Wisconsin. I don't know if it would get into Illinois. Depends on the placement of that that MCV. The NAM's a little bit more north. See how far south the HRRR is, and the NAM is further north. So if the NAM's correct, that potential low-end, strong tornado threat would be focused up in this area. If the HRRR is correct, it would be closer to like this area in here. So that's going to be the main region to keep an eye on. Either way, it's going to include Wisconsin, central or southern Wisconsin is going to be the main area to keep an eye on. And then going on into Wednesday. Wednesday right now, again, just going to keep a close eye on that. And then Thursday, want to see what Thursday has to offer. So Thursday, like I said, I think that marginal is going to be expanded further to the southwest and then possibly even into the mid-Atlantic area as well. Because we could definitely see a couple severe thunderstorms form along the Appalachians here. NAM 3K typically does better with instability than the HRRR, so I think that's portraying definitely something that is worth a marginal risk out there from western NC up towards, southern PA. So I think we'll see an expansion of that marginal. But that's the main threat for severe storms over the next 3 days. I want to do just one last update on severe weather, then we'll kick back to tropics towards the end of the stream here. So if we go over to the GFS, this is a deterministic, so it's going to change. But I want to go all the way out to the 23rd here. This is Wednesday, the 23rd of July, of course, this year. And you can see a very large positively tilted trough that is in much of the northern U.S. according to this model run. And then a good high pressure. So this is what we call ridge riders. You hear them a lot in June and July. It is troughs that ride the northern edge of a high pressure ridge. So you actually have, I drew that wrong. You actually have two highs here. It looks like you have a high out here and a high out here. So that is pushing up like this. Then it rotates back down like this. This one rotates up like this. This one rotates back down like this. And you get a trough that rides. See how these arrows, your high pressure is going to be going like this. So you get a trough that pushes down here, and then it rides the top of that high pressure ridge. And going into mainly Wednesday night into Thursday, you can see it rides that northern ridge very, very well on the GFS run. The GFS definitely shows even the potential for a widespread tornado threat and MCS being possible Thursday, July 24th. Very, very classic, intense ridge riding system there. Very, very intense ridge riding system. So again, you have that high pressure down in here. Two highs. Both of those are rotating up like this. And then a very, very intense negative, very sharply negatively tilted trough. That is not going to happen because that would be an insane setup. Very potent instability in Wisconsin, Illinois, Midwest there. A great environment for a couple tornadoes. I mean, you have a really good setup for either could be an MCS or it could be a full-fledged tornado outbreak if that were to occur. But thankfully, I don't see this happening. I mean, you can see actually, even just that right there, watch this rain from right in here to right in here. Even just that, the forcing from your ridiculous trough could cause damaging winds if this were to be the case. Let's look at a more likely case scenario, which is portrayed by the Euro model. Which shows the same setup. We go to Wednesday, and it actually might be a bit earlier. A little bit earlier. So this actually begins on Tuesday, July 22nd. You see a high pressure here, and maybe a secondary. I don't really see a secondary high in here, but you can easily tell you've got a very strong, very, very strong winds going like this. And then it kind of weakens down in this area. It's not very well defined. And then it gets stronger right there. And then back out in here, you can see you've got good northerly winds, easterly winds, westerly winds. So you do have some type of pressure in this area on the Euro model there. But the main thing you have is that high pressure with a very strong northern ridge. And the Euro, definitely a more likely case scenario and definitely a lot less aggressive. It shows a pretty good ridge ride right in this area for Wednesday into Thursday, a day earlier, the 23rd into the 24th. And then actually on the 25th, it also brings in that big trough that is actually positively tilted on this run instead of negatively tilted. So still would result and damaging winds, large hail, maybe a tornado or two, but definitely nowhere near as notable of a setup as what the GFS has. And I don't know if we can. Okay, we can barely look at it. This is the Canadian model run, which just delays the whole system. It really has a weak, very weak northern ridge there. Very weak ridge rider going into Wednesday, July 23rd. So overall, confidence is relatively there. Pretty good confidence in some sort of severe weather event unfolding between the 23rd and the 25th in the northern plains, and then that will likely transition into the Midwest and the northeastern U.S. into southern Ontario, Canada, going into the days following, depending on the timing. In terms of intensity and exact hazards, yeah, no, that's a big question. Definitely not going to be able to answer that, but at least damaging winds will be a possibility. We are 180 plus hours out, so anything less than 180 hours or right around that time frame, that's when it's accurate. More than 180 hours out, that's when it starts to become a lot less accurate. Canadian model run, that is the GEM, also known as the CMC. That's your Canadian model run. So there's your whole breakdown of your severe pattern over the next 3 days, as well as what I'm watching towards the end of July. Alrighty, let me go ahead and refresh this satellite imagery again. So there's a look at your current 93L. Low pressure starting to get a little bit more hidden. It is starting to get a little bit more hidden under that convection. So your low pressure is over Florida. A good area of spin around that. Good amount of convection on the west-southwest side of that low pressure. Movement is still looks to be turning a bit more. It was moving due northwest. Looks like it's starting to move a bit more to the west. So we'll have to keep an eye for that turn. See how quickly that turn finishes and see if it ever finishes. It might just keep moving southwest until tomorrow night and be well south of Louisiana, then come back up north on Thursday. So definitely want to keep an eye on the trajectory of that. Or there's a chance for a 10 sig tomorrow, you would say. Not impossible. I doubt it, but it's not impossible. If we can get that good MCV to form, I would definitely say it is possible, but I think they'll upgrade it to a 5%. I wouldn't bet on a 10 sig happening. All right, let's go back to the. Let's see, just make sure that's good. That's good. Switch back over here. So yeah, there's a 93L. And you can see the GFS takes it right into southeastern Louisiana. It looks like really the main impacts start tomorrow night. So tomorrow night all the way till all day Friday. Tomorrow night, all day Thursday, pretty much all day Friday. So definitely want to keep an eye on this area right in here. That's where I'm watching the most, all the way from tomorrow night till Friday night. And then going into Saturday, there could be some remnant rain, but I doubt it will be anything to cause a lot of flooding. So there you go. Some severe storms out here. One in central Minnesota. That's for 60-mile-an-hour winds, 1-inch hail. 2 back out here in northern Wisconsin, both for 60-mile-an-hour winds, 0.75-inch hail. And then that has expired. This one for about 50-mile-an-hour winds, 1-inch hail in Michigan. And there's your AOI. If you haven't seen it already, that's your AOI in the northeastern Gulf. Change that again. There's your satellite imagery as well. So 40% chance of development over the next 48 hours, 40% chance of development over the next 7 days. Obviously, this won't be over the water anything more than Thursday night. So, we really only have the next 48-ish hours for this to develop. Let's see. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So, yeah, Thursday, 4 p.m. would be 48 hours. It should make landfall before then. like I said, there's kind of a split in the models. The GFS has it making landfall. 12Z. Man, it's hard to see where it has a centralized low. Hold on, I'm going to go to the vorticity. Huh. Yeah, it has it partially making landfall on Thursday morning, but then it actually pulls it into Texas. So I don't know. We'll have to see. It's not a very organized, centralized low pressure on the GFS, so it's hard to say exactly what's happening with it. We'll just need to keep an eye on it closely. And then the Euro takes it into southern Louisiana. There's a chance it could still be over the Gulf early Friday morning, but I mean, the latest it makes landfall is 8 o'clock Friday morning. That's like the latest model run has it making landfall at that time. The Euro ensemble is very aggressive. It has a it now upped to a 20% chance of a hurricane. I don't believe that at all. Not sure what the Euro's on there. I do think we have a really high shot at a tropical depression. I wouldn't rule out a low end tropical storm. Anything more than a low end tropical storm, discussing that at this point, I just don't see it happening. I think a low end tropical storm, in my opinion, is like the worst case scenario. But who knows? I mean, it's not impossible. It would just be very, very difficult. We'd have to see this thing get pretty far south. Like it would have to track like this and then not make landfall until Friday in order for it to be a chance at a hurricane. I mean, the waters are very warm. You've got an okay amount of ocean heat content. It's going to be tracking over the Gulf for a minimum of 24 hours, so you never know. The Gulf has done crazier things. It has done some wild stuff in the past. So I wouldn't put it completely past it throwing out a hurricane out of nowhere. Just in my opinion, I don't see it happening. Nothing hints towards that at the moment, other than the Euro ensembles. This is our model intensity guidance, and you can see many of these barely get it to like a high-end tropical depression. Worst case scenario, low-end tropical storm. That's where most of our models peak at. And then some of these barely even push it to tropical depression, if not keep it below tropical depression status. But yeah, I'm thinking between here. I'm thinking between, about 40 knots, or rather 35, 40 knots, kind of right in here, down to about 30 knots. That's like where I'm thinking the range will be. Worst case scenario is like a 45 mile per hour tropical storm, 40 mile per hour tropical storm. And then I really believe our most likely case scenario is a high end tropical depression, like 25, 30 mile an hour winds. We've had some gusts reported at 15 to 20 out there in eastern Florida from this thing making landfall. So, if that's producing gusts of 20 already, that definitely is a sign of probable intensification in the future as it gets into the Gulf. Good news is, though, both bad and good. Bad news is it's overland, but the good news is it's also overland. So bad news because we have a risk for some flooding and heavy rain, but the good news is that's completely killing the system right now. Landfall, that destroys the system. Thankfully, we're not having anything crazy out here, though. There's no flood warnings, no severe warnings, no tornado warnings, nothing like that. So right now, it's not that bad out there in Florida. The main thing that this is doing is it's just destroying the system right now, which means it's probably going to have to completely redo that low pressure. But that could also be an issue, because if it completely redoes that low pressure and that low pressure relocates south, then That's the issue. That's why some models are struggling, because some models have it maintaining this low and it gets right into, eastern, southeastern Louisiana, and then others do a low handoff where it switches further to the south like that. It's not, that's definitely possible where we see kind of a vorticity handoff, low pressure relocates. So definitely some big time question marks for tomorrow. Hopefully much of it's answered tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I should be live. I think I'm gonna end up, or should I do a video? When was the last video? I might do a video. Let's see. If it was any more than like about a week ago, I'm gonna do a video. Yeah, we'll do a video tomorrow. I'll probably end up doing a video tomorrow. I'm not going to give you an exact time on when that releases because it just depends on when I'm available. The best time is probably like just a random guess around the time frame of 4 p.m. The NHC updates at 2, I believe, so I'll plan on that. I'll plan on making a video. I'll start the video probably just after 2:30 or so. Make sure that updates out, and then we'll aim for like 4:30. That's what I'm going to aim for. Video tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern time. That is only if, hold on just a second. That is only if we don't have a full-fledged tornado event tomorrow, because that MCV could spark quite the tornado event across Wisconsin, Illinois, eastern Iowa. So that is definitely a bit of something to consider. We'll just see. We might end up having to do a live stream because of the tornado event. 18Z? Is that on Tropical Tidbits, or are you talking about ensembles, Sam? I haven't seen the ones on Tropical Tidbits. Let me go to... Let's see. See if Weather Nerds has it. Whoa, that is so zoomed in. Yo. Okay. No, I was still on yesterday for Weather Nerds. Which one? Are you talking about GFS? Like, I don't see any 18Z data, dude. I see no, that's 12Z. I see the intensity guidance at 18Z. Okay, yeah, never mind. I got it now. Still looks the same to me. It's all very north. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I don't see that whatsoever. In my opinion, that's way too far north. But who knows, if that happens and it stays very far north, this will just be a low wind flooding issue. But I doubt that's going to occur. I'm not too sure if that's like bugged or something, because I don't see that happening whatsoever. Yeah, because see, here is here's like the track guidance. This is from Arctic EDU here. And you could see high confidence, obviously, high confidence in it going this way. And then the main ensembles, GFS ensembles mean in that black line, puts it right into the northern Gulf, and then pushes it south and then goes right into Louisiana, just like that. And the deterministic keeps it over land a little bit longer, but really has nearly the same outcome. So I'm not too sure what those ensembles are saying, which is this stuff right here. I don't know why the... What is this? This is all 18Z stuff, and you can see this GFS into Eastern Louisiana. But much of this is the UKM here, overland. HAFS-A and B, both overland. HMON just kills it in the Gulf somehow. H-Wharf overland. So much of our hurricane guidance, the HAFS-A, B, and the H-Wharf, all keep it overland and kill it very quickly. And the only one is the HMON. That's the only main hurricane model. Keeps it out towards the Gulf, but that ends up killing it anyways. So a lot of uncertainty still. Hopefully a lot of that's worked out tomorrow. So I'll either have a video tomorrow or that tornado threat will be notable enough to warrant a live stream. Unfortunately, I have something that came up today. That's why I ended up going live at 4 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock, or 3:30 instead of 6 o'clock, because I'm not going to be able to stream tonight. So probably not going to see much tornado action out here in Nebraska, but definitely going to see some damaging ones. Large hail up to about 2.5 inch in diameter. Brief tornado or two can't be ruled out. But the main tornado threat, in my opinion, for the next week or so, all the way until potentially that event on the 23rd or 4th, looks to be tomorrow. I think tomorrow could warrant a slight risk, 5% tornado risk introduced across Wisconsin and Illinois for that MCV. But with that all being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in to this weather briefing. I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in, Catman. I appreciate it. Tuned in, and now I'm ending. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button to help us get to 10,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. Virginia, no, we're going to continue to see these rain showers off and on for the rest of the day, and then potentially a severe weather event on day 3, which is Thursday. Thursday and Friday both could be severe weather events out here in Virginia, North Carolina. So nope, no big break for the rain anytime soon. We're just going to get used to it. So thank you, mods, for mod chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button to help us get 10,000 subscribers. Leave a like on this live stream to help it spread out in the YouTube algorithm even after we end. Also, share this channel with your family, friends, social media. I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's live stream or video or the next content that I do. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Goodbye. stay safe, watch for your weather, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream or video that I do sometime tomorrow. Thank you much for watching, chat. Have a